In the Dragon Ball manga and original anime adaptation, it focused on that of a young Goku. Throughout the timeline, he did quite a few things due to the overall concept of the manga and anime. The Dragon Ball franchise became extraordinarily popular, even into the original early Dragon Ball Z era of the manga and later anime adaptations. It also featured Goku, but it also introduced his son, Gohan, that he had with Chi-Chi. But the speculative scenario is this. Was Gohan to be the main character for the early Dragon Ball Z franchise after Goku? From information now known during the early years of the original Dragon Ball Z manga on Japanimations, Gohan was meant to eventually replace Goku as the main character of the manga and to eventually become the face of the Dragon Ball franchise as it later became known as. This, of course, was to have been done very slowly, so as to not anger longtime fans that Akira Toriyama had amassed through the years of Dragon Ball's original publishing and broadcasting within Japan. While Goku continued to be the main focus of the story, there was an undeniable placement and emphasis for Gohan in the early stories of Dragon Ball Z. This focus and intensity would only magnify for the character, as Toriyama had planned for the original story of Z to progress further, and that these plans would slowly be implemented. When Raditz came to Earth to find out what had happened to Goku, he discovered that Goku had made a life for himself upon the planet that which he had been sent to. Raditz soon noticed the child of Gohan and immediately knew that there was something different with the boy. Gohan even exhibited extraordinary or even unfocused bursts of power. This raw strength surprised Raditz, Piccolo, and even Goku. Vegeta theorized that a half-blood from both races created an extraordinary being with potentially devastating power. The possibility of power from these hybrids were so devastating that even Nappa considered managing a few hybrids to rebuild planet Vegeta, as it was infamously discussed in the Ocean dub. However, Vegeta disliked the idea because he quickly learned that, in theory, it sounded perfectly fine, but the hybrids would become stronger than even them at that particular time, so the concept was abandoned by the both of them, but it would become one of the many details and facts displayed in the manga or mentioned through dialogue many more times in the early series. When the story had the characters go to Namek and Gohan encountered the Elder Namekian, even the Elder remarked at the extraordinary untapped potential that Gohan had, as once the Elder unlocked the potential of Gohan's latent powers, he became a more powerful fighter and greatly helped against Frieza's forces on Namek. When the Z soldiers fought against the androids, Future Trunks once said that one of the reasons why future Gohan was able to survive as long as he did was due to the extraordinary power he was born with. However, if he had access to more of it, or had more training to use it properly, he might have been able to survive, instead of eventually meeting his end by them. The importance of Gohan reached its climax in the story of Dragon Ball Z, as depicted within the fight against Cell. Goku actually conceded defeat and mentioned that Gohan was more than able to defeat Cell, and that Goku couldn't fight or wouldn't want to fight anymore, and that he was tired of the endless battles that he had been in throughout his life. This no doubt shocked everyone who had heard and was present during the Cell games, as this was a bizarre proclamation from Goku. While Goku believed in the full potential of Gohan, Piccolo and Vegeta were doubtful as Gohan slowly fought against Cell, but circumstances had Gohan to be too inexperienced for Cell, and Piccolo was very angry for forcing such a burden onto Gohan to fight for literally all life on the planet or even the universe. In theory, Goku was right. He could have fought Cell. Gohan didn't have full access even then to his latent powers, and did not have the essential experience in battle against such an opponent. As Goku realizes this and attempts to fight Cell, but is unable to stop him and sacrifices himself. But it's all for naught as Cell returns, and eventually, confirming what Goku had said all along, he does the impossible by killing Super Perfect Cell with the help of everyone around him. At the time when the readers of the manga learned about what had happened to Goku and his sacrifice or death, it actually polarized fans, with some naturally being upset with Goku's supposed final sacrifice on Gohan to become the next protector of the planet. For and against opinions were so divisive that Akira Toriyama later recalled Goku's death during the fight against Cell and eventually brought him back, and diminished the importance of Gohan within Dragon Ball Z's story. Rumors had it that Toriyama still tried to give a bit of importance to Gohan with the Elder Kai transformation, but Toriyama relented to popular opinion and switched the emphasis of the story back to Goku. Once the Majin Buu saga concluded, there was a massive amount of public resentment in Japan about the circumstances for the conclusion of Dragon Ball Z. It wasn't until Dragon Ball Super and the modern retelling of the end of Z by Toriyama himself to fix his own errors of the time did popular opinion side with Akira Toriyama, and readers of the manga and viewers of the animations were satisfied. When interviewed about how he actually reconned aspects of the Majin Buu saga for Super, Akira Toriyama mentioned that the conclusion of Z had haunted him for years, decades even, until he had finally decided to do something about it and write new stories to erase his old mistakes. To keep in favor with the fans of the now internationally popular Dragon Ball Super series, Goku was once again made the focus of the story, and Gohan was relegated to a side character at times during the story of Super and modern Japanimations of it.